Hi there everyone, it's Spramani and I want to show you the very basic materials you need to get started with painting. In case you've been excited, you've been wanting to bring these materials into your classroom or on your shelves at home and you just don't know where to start, I want to show you how very basic it is. I want you not to be afraid of setting these things up. So let me just show you the essentials. I have a tray here with materials and I'll talk a little bit more about setting up trays in a few days in another video, but I just want to talk about the essentials. So first thing you're going to need is a paintbrush. You're going to need, depending on your child's size and age, you're going to need a paintbrush that fits their hands. You're going to need, for painting, I like to have a wash jar and a paper towel. Now I know a lot of teachers like to use sponges and rags, but I'm going to recommend you don't use a rag because that's a good way to spread things around the classroom. And I like to keep a napkin under the jar and have it stationed. I do have a free download on these materials that I recommend for setup. You can find those at both my websites. I'll make sure to link those at the bottom. It's a download that just gives you the essential setup. On this tray I have a big one well palette and it has a black cake paint, watercolor cake paint, and then I have a couple sheets of watercolor paper. And watercolor paper is very thick. It's meant to and designed to absorb paper. So very basic. I have a paintbrush, I've got some paints, I've got a palette to hold my paints, I've got a wash jar so I can change and clean my brush out, and I got paper to paint on. So if I were painting, I can activate this watercolor cake. So in case you were wondering how it works, and you can make brush strokes on your paper. I do have a painting curriculum that shows you how to set this up, how to teach basic key lessons, and you can find that also on my website. That's children's painting, and I have a painting book, and I also have some teacher guides. So that's really basic. So if you want to get started in painting, you're going to need to get some paintbrushes, you're going to need some wash jars and some napkins, you're going to need things to paint on, whether that's watercolor paper or it's a canvas or it's a rock or stick, and you're going to need some type of paint. You can use almost any paint, but you can watch some of my videos that show different types of paint, but right now I'm just showing you one example with this black. And you don't need that many colors to get started because you want to experiment with just brush strokes to begin with. That's one of my key lessons that I do in all my trainings is I teach children how to make brush strokes first and how to create different brush strokes. And I also start with isolating colors. So check out all my other work if you want. Again, that's at Nature of Art. And you can find both my websites below to find all my guides, my trainings, my videos, and my books. All right, stay tuned for more. Bye.